before I switched careers, I worked as a FedEx driver for a little over a year. For the most part, the job was simple. Drop off, scan, move on. But one night, during a winter storm, I had an experience that I'll never forget. It was late, just after 6, and the snow was coming down heavy. Most houses had their lights on, warm glows peeking through frosted windows. But one stop stood out, an old farmhouse sitting at the edge of a dirt road, surrounded by woods. The place looked completely abandoned. No tire tracks in the driveway, no lights inside. Still, the package required a signature, so I couldn't just leave it. I parked, grabbed the box, and trudged up the icy walkway. The house looked wrong somehow. The shutters hung crooked, the porch sagged, and every step I took seemed to echo unnaturally in the still air. I knocked once. No answer. I knocked again, louder this time. That's when I noticed the curtain in the front window move. Someone was definitely inside. A few seconds later, the door creaked open, and a man, thin, pale, with sunken eyes, peered out. His smile was small and unsettling. He said nothing, just held out his hand for the scanner. I explained he needed to sign, but he shook his head slowly and whispered, "Bring it in. It's too heavy for me." I hesitated, but the wind was cutting through me, and the snow made it hard to think straight. So I stepped inside. The moment I did, I regretted it. The house was freezing, colder than outside. The air reeked of damp wood and something metallic. The man pointed toward the back of the house, insisting I leave the box in the kitchen. As I walked through the hallway, I noticed how strange it was. Every mirror was covered with a sheet, and every photo frame was turned to face the wall. The floorboards groaned under my weight, and for a second, I thought I heard whispering coming from one of the dark rooms I passed. When I reached the kitchen, I nearly dropped the package. Sitting at the table was another man, identical to the first. Same sunken eyes, same thin face, same crooked smile. He didn't move, didn't speak, just stared at me as I set the box down. My instincts screamed at me to leave. I mumbled something about having more deliveries and turned for the door. That's when I heard the front door slam shut behind me. Heavy footsteps followed. I didn't wait to see who it was. I bolted for the back door, shoved it open, and ran through the snow to my truck without looking back. I don't know what I walked into that night or who those men really were. All I know is that farmhouse didn't appear on my route again, and I never asked why. I've been driving trucks for over a decade, and when you spend that much time on the road at night, you're bound to see some unsettling things. But there's one trip I had a few years back that still makes my stomach turn whenever I think about it. I was hauling a load through Nevada, cutting across a stretch of highway that felt endless. No lights, no towns, just miles of black desert and the occasional scrub brush illuminated by my headlights. It was close to midnight, and I hadn't seen another vehicle for at least an hour. That's when I noticed a flicker of movement ahead. At first, I thought it was an animal, maybe a coyote. But as I got closer, I saw a sedan parked on the shoulder, with its trunk wide open. The hazard lights weren't on, and the car looked abandoned. Normally, I don't stop, but something about it caught my attention. As I slowed down, my high beams swept over the vehicle, and I noticed the driver's side door was hanging wide open. No one was in sight. Against my better judgment, I pulled over a short distance ahead. I grabbed my flashlight and stepped out into the cold desert air. The silence out there was suffocating. No insects, no wind, just the faint hum of my truck cooling down. I walked back toward the car, shining my light inside. Empty. No keys in the ignition, no bags, nothing but a faint stain on the driver's seat that looked uncomfortably dark. I swept the beam of light toward the desert. That's when I saw it. A set of fresh footprints leading away from the road and into the scrub. They were uneven, as if whoever made them was stumbling or dragging something. I called out, "Hey, you need help?" My voice carried farther than I expected, echoing in the still air. No reply. I followed the tracks just a few yards off the road, but the further I went, the stronger a feeling of dread grew in my gut. I don't know how else to describe it, except that it felt like I was being watched. Then, from somewhere out in the dark, I heard it, a low, ragged breathing. It was close, too close. But when I swung the flashlight around, the beam fell only on empty desert. My pulse was hammering in my ears. I backed away slowly, not daring to turn my back until I reached my truck. Just as I climbed in and locked the doors, I glanced in my side mirror. The sedan's trunk, which had been standing open when I first arrived, was now shut tight. I didn't wait around to think about what that meant. I slammed the truck into gear and got out of there as fast as I could. To this day, I have no idea what happened to the driver of that car, or what might have been waiting for me out in that desert. All I know is I'll never stop on a lonely highway at night again.